Hey everyone, welcome back to Let's Talk About It with Andy. Thank you for anybody who's watching this one, or listening to this one, should I say. The video that I put up today was supposed to go out last night, but I was having a lot of technical difficulties. And I know that I said I was going to do a part 2 to the boundaries tonight, but I'm really feeling like talking about something else. That's okay. Today was not as good of a day as yesterday was, and that's okay. We all have bad days. But I think what I want to talk about today is avoidance. It's something that I'm struggling with a lot right now, and I think it's something that I've also always struggled with. I hope all of you had an amazing day today, and if you didn't, tomorrow's going to be better, and even if it's not, the next day is always going to be better, because one day will be. It's what we can always hope for. So, when it comes to avoidance, that's like something new that I'm understanding about myself that I didn't really know for a long time. I actually didn't recognize it. I just thought I was protecting myself. Well, that's not really what I'm doing. Before I get deeper into it, I would like to challenge anybody who's listening to think about, do I have avoidant behaviors? Why do I resort to them? What do they look like? How do they affect me? How do they impact my life and the decisions that I make and the ways that I treat people? What can I do to fix it? Do I want to fix it? So, for me, I'm just kind of, I feel like this is going to be the first really personal one that I post. I have a huge difficulty with allowing people to stay in my life once they're there. And that's one of the biggest problems when it comes to how avoidant I am. I didn't have a lot of consistency and stability when I was growing up as a child, in a lot of different ways. And I felt very alone a lot. And, everyone kind of grows up a certain way, but I remember I used to do this thing where I would lay in my bed and I would cry for my mom, like obnoxiously cry for hours and hours, and force tears out and force myself to be sad and cry because I would want her to come comfort me, And she never came. I think after, I don't know how many days, months, years it was, one night I just stopped crying. And I decided that I didn't need anyone. If I was going to cry, I was going to wipe my own tears. If I was going to go through a hardship, I was going to figure it out on my own. I was going to face that battle because I can count on me. I can depend on me. I feel like a lot of younger parents don't know the effect that they have on their children whenever they don't allow their children to be dependent on them. And I don't mean overly dependent to where they don't have a little bit of independence, but like your children have to know that you're there for them. And if you're not, they're going to grow into adults who don't want people to be there for them. For a lot of my life, I've craved this feeling of wanting to be appreciated and wanting to be accepted and wanting to be known and wanting to be loved and wanting to be heard and validated and understood. And I have received that in my life. I have. But the minute that it starts to dwindle, I run back under my covers by myself and I don't let anyone near me. It's ruined a lot of relationships in my life, friendships and romantic relationships, because I would rather just be alone. I leave people before I get left. I exit a situation before I'm told I'm not wanted there. It's a lot of avoiding because I emotionally, for a long time, couldn't handle it. If any of you feel like that, I want you to know that, you're not alone in that feeling. I'm not saying that it's, right or wrong or bad or good, but it definitely is something that's strong. And it has control over a lot of the things that I do and the ways that I am and the ways that I behave around people. I was at work today and I was talking to a couple of coworkers of mine, one that I knew very well and one that's pretty new. And she said, every time I see you, you're so outgoing and extroverted and, it's so, charismatic. And in that moment when I was talking to them, I had taken that mask that I present to the world off for a little bit. And I feel like for the first time in a long time, I really recognized who I am versus who the world thinks I am, I guess. I've been doing a lot of work on myself, and I've been doing a lot of searching within myself to see how, I have been in different places in my life and the different people that I've been. Getting to know myself has been a really hard thing. And I know that sounds funny because it's like, you know yourself, that's you. But hasn't really felt like that in a very long time. So a lot of times in the past, I'm going to start with my romantic relationships. I keep a lot of my partners at bay, or the partners, I've only had a couple of serious relationships, but any romantic interests that I've had, I've never let them fully get to know me. And I didn't realize it until recently. And that's a big weight that I'm carrying now on my chest. I feel like, I wasn't genuine. I feel like I wasn't honest. I don't feel like I lied, but I don't feel like they got to know me enough to know that they wanted to be with me. And that's my fault. I didn't let them. I think that stemmed from being a child and, having my mother know me so well, more than anyone, and then not come to me when I cry for her. And, at 23, I still feel that way, and it's scary and it's humiliating and it's embarrassing because I feel like I should be over it by now. but I'm not. And that's okay. Other aspects that it plays into is, my friendships. I can't keep friends to save my life. I have a couple of friends who are the most amazing people in the world, because for me, it is extremely hard to be close to me. Anytime I'm going through anything, I isolate myself. I don't want to talk. I don't want to hang out. I don't want to send texts. I don't want to be around them. And it's not because there's something wrong with them, but it's because I feel like there's something wrong with me. And I don't think they deserve to be around that. I don't think anyone does. And my friends that haven't been able to understand that, I get it. It is very hard to be close to someone like me because I do not allow people to be close to me. But what's happening there is it's not healthy, and I know that. So I'm going to take a pause really quick and just say that this is a very vulnerable post for me to make. And I know that not a lot of people watch my podcasts, but even still, this isn't going to be like the last couple. This is going to be a little bit more personal, for sure. I made a new friend recently, and she is one of the most amazing people I've ever met in my entire life. And she's so kind, and she understands me with just a look and treats me with so much softness and kindness. And I feel like I've been able to be so much of myself and share so much of myself with her very easily. But I feel like I'm coming to a point where I don't feel that she deserves to deal with a person like me. And I know that those are just my thoughts. They're my negative thoughts that I have that don't really mean anything. They're just clouding up my brain. But as I'm feeling this way, I'm recognizing that it is something that I need to be conscious of, because I really don't want to ruin this friendship. I don't know if anyone else has these issues and feels these ways, but if you do, my heart goes out to you, man. It is so rough. It's like living in a paradox, like wanting people around you, but then as soon as they are, that just feels so wrong and undeserving and unwelcomed. So isolation seems like a better option. And if anyone is feeling like that, I hope you know that you're not alone. And I think lastly, where the avoidance comes into my life is when big events happen, big events that I can't control. I don't know how to process them because I don't want to. I don't feel like I can, and I don't feel like I'll be able to do it successfully. A couple of years ago, my best friend died. And in that time, I was already going through so many different things in life, and I was in a relationship with someone, and, they didn't know how to support me, and I didn't know how to support myself. And I was thousands of miles away from my hometown, my family, and all of my friends that I knew. So I just pretended like it didn't happen. And for about a year after he died, I would call him every day and not understand why he didn't answer. And it would be like he died every day for a year. And I wouldn't cry about it. I wouldn't do anything about it. There would be times where I would feel it a little bit, but only in small doses. And I remember the day when it finally hit me, and I was sitting on a friend of mine's bed, and I was like, yeah, my best friend, Tunga, he does this thing. And then I was like, well, I mean, he did this thing. And I was like, he actually died. And I feel like at that moment in time, it had already been a year and a half. And it felt like my heart had been ripped out of my chest in a way that I had never experienced. And it threw me into a complete emotional spiral for a very long time. And I just think too, what if I was able to not avoid my problems and I was able to face them head on when they happened in a healthy way? How much easier would they be for me? How different would I feel? How different would I be? How different would I react? But that's not what happened. I have this thing where I feel like I should be further along in my journey and my healing and every other aspect of my life. So if I just avoid the things that I'm lacking, it's almost like they're not there. And that's the wrong answer, and I know that. Moving forward, though, I'm going to challenge myself, and I'm going to encourage anyone who listened to this one to challenge yourself. Take it in small doses, but don't avoid it. Life is going to happen, and life is going to change, life is going to move. You're never going to see a tree. It could be the same tree, but it's never going to be the same, even seconds apart. Life is moving, breathing, happening all at once. And it's important to move and breathe and change and happen with it. Sitting somewhere while things move past you because you can't move past them takes a lot of time away from enjoying the fact that we don't have that much time. And we should be spending it doing what we love and feeling what we love to feel and feeling what we can feel and recognizing how beautiful it is that we can feel. So, if any of you need to talk, just know you can always reach out. Life is hard. Life is very hard. I don't know if it's always been this way, but it feels like it has been. My whole life anyways. And as people, I feel like we're supposed to love each other and be kind to one another and know each other and help each other through the struggles of life, even if we're just here for a blink. That blink means everything. Tomorrow night I'll be posting the part 2 to the boundaries. If you guys would rather me only make podcasts about that, let me know. This was more of like an experiment, I guess. But tomorrow will be better. And I hope you all have a great night, afternoon, morning, whenever you're listening to this. And I just want to say really quick at the end of this, This is my third upload, and I started because my sister, who also happens to be my best friend, encouraged me to do this because she thought it would be really good for me, and she thought it would be really good for other people. So she really is my biggest supporter, and I hope that you all have someone like that in your corner who's always supporting you and being there for you and loving you undeniably and loudly and screaming for you from thousands and thousands of miles away. In my saddest moments, I do think of her. So, thank you, Kiki. I love you so much. And I adore all of you, and I hope you guys exist beautifully until tomorrow.